sao tôi sẽ nói về dòng Bắc. Bởi vì khi tôi đã sang đến Việt Nam lần đầu tiên, tôi đã học với một giáo viên của miền Nam, và lúc đó tôi đã nói luôn luôn về dòng Nam. Nhưng lần này khi chuẩn bị trước khi quay lại đến Hà Nội, tôi đã học với hai giáo viên rất là giỏi về dòng Hà Nội, và sau đó tôi luôn luôn dùng dòng Bắc. Nhưng xin lỗi có người không thích dòng Bắc, nhưng đó là lý do tôi dùng dòng Bắc. I'd like to start by explaining a little bit about what happened last week. As most of you know, President Obama received Nguyễn Phú Trọng, the General Secretary of the Communist Party, in the White House. I had the honor to participate in that meeting, and I'll tell you, I'm always proud to represent the President and the people of the United States in Vietnam every day. But that day, I felt especially proud. The President was very, very clear with Nguyen Phu Trong about our expectations in this relationship. He was very clear on the subject of human rights, because that is who we are. He explained how important it is that Vietnam respect religious freedom, give people the right to express themselves, stop imprisoning people for expressing themselves, and he was very, very clear on the rights of workers. He said, we would like to have Vietnam be part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but the only way is if you meet the same standards that are required of every member of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And that means respecting the rights of workers to organize, to bargain collectively, right to free association. The President was polite, very, very firm. There was no way the leadership of Vietnam could lack any clarity about what we expect in order for them to gain the benefits of this very, very important trade agreement. As Ash mentioned, this month marks the 20th anniversary of normalization of diplomatic relations. I wear this little 20 for that reason. I had the honor to serve under Pete Peterson, our first ambassador to Vietnam. And even before that, Chargé d'Affaires, before we had an ambassador, Desai Anderson was also my boss. And I've seen a lot of changes in Vietnam over the last 20 years. For example, when I was there 20 years ago, we had an annual trade relationship that consisted of about $450 million a year in two-way trade. This year, or last year, 2014, it was $36 billion. We expect it will exceed $40 billion this year. Last week, when Nguyen Phu Trong was in Washington, we were able to sign two deals, one with Vietnam Airlines, one with Vietjet, to buy $13 billion worth of Boeing aircraft. This is a big change from 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Vietnam didn't have the money to buy that size of deal. We had the money to, wasn't prosperous enough to conclude a deal that size. So one of the things that's changed a lot is that Vietnam is a lot more prosperous than it was. Another thing that has changed very significantly since I was first there is that there's the internet. I went to Facebook this morning. There are 30 million Facebook users in Vietnam. 40 million Vietnamese have access to the internet. We have about 200,000 people who follow our various Facebook pages, and I read their comments every day. And one of the things that really strikes me is how young people in particular will say whatever they want. And the Facebook is not shut down, it's not censored. The young people are able to communicate very directly, and they communicate with me in an unfiltered way. I get to hear about the hopes and aspirations, particularly of young Vietnamese. Recently, an internal poll was conducted, and that poll showed that whether people live in the northern part of Vietnam or the south or Miền Trung, whether they are older or younger, 92% of Vietnamese want a closer relationship with the United States. 92%. I don't think we get that kind of ratings anywhere else in the world, maybe not even at home. But 92% would like to think that the United States is Vietnam's closest friend. And when they rate what countries they think are really important for Vietnam's future, the United States is way up here. Halfway down is Japan. Another halfway down is Russia. And China gets very low numbers. It's very clear what kind of a future young Vietnamese want. They don't want less freedom. They want more. They want a closer relationship with us because we represent the kind of society that they'd like to see theirs become more like. And Vietnam's leaders have noticed that. And so bringing Nguyen Phu Trong to Washington was a controversial thing to do, but he was the skeptic in chief. He was the head of the faction in the Politburo that was most skeptical about the relationship with the United States. And he's #1 in the Politburo. I think it was a very powerful experience for him just to come to the United States. With his delegation, that added up to 5 Politburo members have been to the United States this year. Before the end of the year, 7 or 8 will come to the United States. That's half the Politburo. We've reached the number of 8. We've had 3 cabinet-level visits already to Vietnam this year, and we'll have more before the end of the year, and possibly even a visit by President Obama. So